What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the party. Hope you're having a wonderful night or day. Today we're going to be talking about a game called Havenhold. I've been playing it for the past day. It's actually in closed beta at the moment. It's got 13 days left, as you can see at the very top right. If you're not familiar with this game, it works very similar to Anvil Empires, Naraka Blade Point, even Crowfall. It runs on a cycle system where every 14 days the game itself will reset. Certain things are persistent, like items, gear, that sort of thing, cosmetics as well. However, the game functions very heavily off of this thing called Primordial Spirits. These are essentially these transformations that you can utilize to gain new abilities, new skills, and the Primordial Spirits that you discover during campaigns, that will carry over to the next cycle, but the way that you master them and level them up, that does not appear to carry over. So these skills that I've learned, I think these ones will not carry over to the next cycle, or when the full game releases, these will reset, but the ones that I've discovered so far will. At the moment in the closed beta, there's only 3 available. However, it's recommended that you have at least 2 on at all times, and as you master the Primordial avatar by strengthening it, you get these spirit tokens by leveling up, by the way, or these spirit binding points. It will increase the amount of duration that you're able to be in the form, even up until the very last one, which is until death. So you're essentially able to stay in the form forever. So the game has a maximum level of 15, and they intentionally keep it that low because they want to make sure that between the different campaigns, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time grinding. You can just farm your way up and get right into the action almost right away. There are different events that'll happen during those 14 days as well to keep things fresh, and there's content that will open itself up alongside that time that will allow you to play at your own pace and not get too far behind. So the spirit binds or the spirit avatar, well, first let me start here. When you're outside of a spirit avatar, you're going to be in your base form, which is this, the warrior monk form right here. And I'm going to go out and show you how the combat feels for this character. You'll notice right away that the stamina cost and the health, the mana, all of that is much lower when you're in your base warrior monk form. One of my biggest hopes is that they actually will create a primordial spirit that will have a staff or like a spear that is held in this way. I didn't expect it, but I absolutely love the way that these monks hold their staffs. It's my favorite way for any character to hold a staff. I think that all games should use it, and I really want to see a primordial spirit that does exactly this. So in your warrior monk spirit, you don't have a whole lot as far as the combat goes. You got your basic attacks, and also I had a misunderstanding about the combat the first day that I'm going to go over in a second. But as you can see, the stamina cost is extremely low. However, if I go into my primordial spirit, one of them, it'll increase the amount of stamina that I have so that I can fight longer. You also get access to better combos with the primordial spirit, and of course these abilities that you have access to that use mana. So that's another reason to kind of pick and choose. Pretty much when you're in combat situation, especially when you go into a dungeon, you always want to be in your primordial spirits, or as often as possible. That's the reason that it's recommended to go 2, because if you have 2 of them, then you're at least in one the entire time. So right now there are 3 out of 7 primordial spirits available. We have the sword one that I'm playing right now, but I will show you in a second what the other 2 are. Okay. So this one's called the Striding Mirage. It's probably the most popular at the moment. As you can see, it's a very fast-paced, offensive kind of primordial. It's also got a grapple, but pretty much all of them have a grapple. And you can see that you have the classic abilities, the core abilities, and the prime abilities here, and I'll tell you how you unlock these in a little bit. We have the Infernal Foxtail, who's more of a, I would say, a spirit-based magic type. You can even see that the spirit attribute experience is increased while you're in this form. And this one is a fire-based primordial that has access to ranged attacks as well. They also have access to a grapple, but I'll show you that in a second. The Flamethrower, this is your clear-cut magic ability right here that's probably going to do a crap ton of damage when you're using it on anybody. That's your grapple right there. They can also go stealth, so it's kind of like a stealth mage, but it's more like a Mirage, like a Shaco clone. And then you have your ultimate ability, which this one looks really cool. The last one is your more defensive spirit primordial. This is the Brawling Sea Tusk, the one that I use the most. It's got the Sunken Punch, so it's got a lot of crowd control. Like from the very beginning, your classic ability, you get a grapple, and there's a reason that's important, which I'll go over in a second. But you got some more crowd control here. You've also got a shield, of course, tank-wise, absolutely. And then your ultimate ability, I would say the other 2 are probably stronger as far as, well, not only the abilities, but also like the ultimate as well. But like I said, this one is more of a tank character. And let's go back in town here. So the reason that the Classic, core, and prime abilities are important to distinguish between. By the way, you only get 4 skill slots, so you have to kind of customize what you're going to choose. And the attributes of the different primordials are also different too. So like this one has more strength and vitality attribute experience, while the Brawling Sea Tusk focuses more on fortitude and your maximum health and so on. And then you've got the Infernal Foxtail that focuses more on spirit, the magic stuff. So the way that you unlock these abilities is by doing dungeons. There might be other ways in the future or more ways that I haven't discovered yet, but the primary way that you're going to do the unlocking of these abilities when you first get into the game is through the first dungeon, which you unlock around level 4. And when you're doing that dungeon, it is cooperative based. However, you have to be careful because that dungeon will only have 1 reward chest at the end. So if you're playing with friends, you need to do it multiple times. And then the person who actually spends the Qi, which is the character energy, will own the chest at the end, and I'll explain that in a second. But it's important that you make sure that that person opens the chest. Anybody else that's opening the chest, the game is going to think that you're committing a sin or stealing, and it's going to give you a resource called sin. And it doesn't really explain that well at the moment. There's probably going to make a tooltip for that though, but it's important that you realize that. And then you're going to start out by getting the classic abilities in that level 4 dungeon. You'll unlock those. The core abilities and the ultimate is going to come later when you're doing the higher tier dungeons. But at the very start, in like the first day, your primary goal is to focus on getting these classic abilities and some of your starting gear. Now, when you come to your attributes menu, you can see that you have your total level. This is the part that I told you about that is capped out at level 15. And when you increase these levels, these are the ones that give you those spirit binding points. And these different attributes, they level up on their own as well as you're fighting or doing whatever, you know, out in the open world. So it's like when you're recovering mana, for example, this one gives you spirit experience. When you're recovering health, you get vitality, fortitude, when you're blocking enemy basic attacks, so on and so forth. I actually didn't know that. That's good to know. Strength when you're attacking enemies with the basic attack, and then endurance when you're recovering stamina. And your Qi, like I mentioned before, this is something that you utilize quite often in the game. So when you're trying to do any kind of content in the game, the main thing that you'll use Qi for is not only to upgrade your different attributes when they're about to level up, but that uses a very minimal amount of Qi, so you don't really have to worry about that. The main thing that you'll spend Qi on is going into these dungeons. Let's say you want to go into the level 4 dungeon, it's going to cost you about 200 Qi, and this does increase as you level up, but when you're first starting out, it starts out low enough to where you might have to wait in between dungeon runs a little bit. Normally you can do like, 2 or 3-ish, but if you die in the dungeon, you're going to get sent back to town, so then you'll have to spend that Qi all over again, or somebody else will have to spend it for you. So that's the only thing to worry about there. And then to recover it, it recovers 1 every minute, although I feel like it's a lot faster. There's other ways to regain Qi by like killing enemies, and you'll activate different shrines out in the open world. You'll also find them by breaking into vases or boxes in dungeons and whatnot. There's also these Blood Moon Codex interactables that you'll see inside dungeons. When we go into a dungeon soon, we're going to see one too, and you can also utilize those to generate Qi. After you get 3 of them, then you're capable of actually getting that Qi. So also, before I forget, let me go ahead and activate the Sunken Punch ability. And also, when you're learning skills, it does take away from your overall character experience, but that much is not going to really matter. That much that it took from me there, that's totally fine. I'm okay with that if I get that skill. That's going to be a very important one for me. So alongside waiting for the Qi to regenerate, you can use these mats because it accelerates it. So that's why you see a bunch of people just sitting out here. Also, the game has 3 different factions. So I'm a part of the Crimson people. It also has the Duskmire and the Elderwood factions, and each of these factions has their own regions. So as you can see in the Crimson Reach camp, this is our main camp. These are the forest areas. One of the forests is one of the ones that I went into earlier. The Crimson Reach Plateau, that zone is not open yet, but it will be opening in about 2 days, I believe. And then you got the Kunlun Snow Caps, which is going to be like the max tier zone. And then after around day, I think 8 it was, the Grand Sieges are going to start. So there's a lot of information to know about this game. First thing though, in the Crimson Reach camp or any of the camps, you can't attack anybody. Combat is forbidden. And actually, it doesn't really need to say that attacking players in other factions is allowed, but will accumulate significant sin, because you can't actually attack anybody anyway. But when you're in the forest regions, that actually does become a thing. The reason it says this, attacking players and other factions is allowed but will accumulate sins, is because you're actually capable of transporting between the different faction areas. So you can go through these zones called the bamboo glades. They have a lot of bush areas and areas where you can gank people in them, but you can travel between these different faction areas, and then you can go to their forest areas, and if you want to, you can try to fight people in those forest areas, meaning that somebody could come over and try to attack you in yours. However, if they do, they're going to generate sin, like I mentioned before, and this currency will incur what's known as Heaven's Wrath. So if they're in the blue zone, they attack you and they try to kill you, or let's say they do. If they get what's called Heaven's Wrath, it's going to basically strike them with lightning and kill them immediately. And then they're going to go back to their town, and they're going to have to sit on the... The meditation mat doesn't impact the sin decreasing. The only thing that decreases it is time, according to what people were saying. Although there was rumors that meditation might decrease it faster. You'll have to see for yourself on that one. I don't plan on generating sin anytime soon. But yeah, that is a concept there. And then when you get to the plateaus, when we have those unlocked in about 2 days, these areas, it says that attacking players from the same faction will accumulate sin, meaning that if you go over to another area and then you go to their plateau, or if you're somehow able to traverse between the different plateaus from within that region, then you can attack other players and kind of hinder their progress. So when that happens, that's when the PvP, a lot of the big PvP is going to start to happen, but that's not all that we're going to be seeing. You can also have a party, and I mentioned this in my intro video. It said initially that it was only limited to 4 people. However, I found that you can actually have up to 8 people or 16 people in a party. So the first day we had quite a few people, and probably as the days progress, we're going to have more people in the party, which is really cool because you can all like go around doing dungeons together and helping everybody out. It's just a really cool system. I absolutely love it. But then you have the Kunlun snow caps when that opens up, which I'm not exactly sure when that will, but when it does, sin is not accumulated for attacking any players. So that means whether you want to attack your own faction, the enemy faction, really doesn't matter, you can. There's also additional mechanics in this game related to what's known as the Great Cycle. So the first day, the event is called the Rise of the Blood Moon. This is something I did yesterday, and this happens every single day after the first day. It's just that during the first day, or during the day that the event is going on, you'll get bonus rewards. So essentially what happens is when you're out in the forest, you're going to notice these red meteors come down when this first begins. And then what happens is you're going to see these red portals that look just like the dungeon ones do, but these are ones that can actually be invaded. So if you go in first, or I don't know, you go in regardless, somebody else that's in another faction, they can go into another portal that's in their area, another red one, and they can potentially come across you and fight you to the death. So these essentially function as Albion Online Hellgates, and it's really cool because it gives you an opportunity to fight people and get some PvP action before the days start progressing and the plateau opens in the other areas. The second day, this one is the Driftlings. I haven't really seen these ones yet, but it apparently happens in the forestlands, the plateaus, and the Kunlun snowcaps, and these, what are they called? These Driftlings will emerge that you're able to catch. But I haven't seen them yet. I probably haven't been paying attention. I'll have to try to pay attention tonight. But the third one is going to be the Gilded Hollow. So we're going to be able to go to that area in the bamboo glades and excavate the ore veins of gold and precious stones. So that's going to be something that's going to be cool too. And there's also, of course, a crafting system, a full-on gathering system. You can refine mats, and then that's what you utilize to craft gear. And then you can also create like potions and food, that kind of thing. And you're going to need to do that very often for a reason I'll show you in a second. But then you've got day 4, which is Fruits of the Eternal Tree. This is when we're going to be able to head to the plateaus for the Sacred Harvest. So this is around the time that the plateaus will open up. And keep in mind, again, as these days progress and these content pieces open up, they're going to unlock for the rest of the cycle. It's just during that day, you're going to have bonuses for doing that specific piece of content. Then you got 6. It says the cycle-bound domain has been overrun. So that's basically one of the mini dungeons out in the open world, not the full-on one, the level 4 one like I mentioned. These are something different. Then you got the Shadowed Labyrinth. So when the cycle progresses to around day 8, that's when the castle sieges will get started. And doing those is basically the factions will fight against each other. The first day is going to be us, Crimson Reach versus Elderwood, and it's going to be a 20v20. I was told actually that it's going to be a first come first serve basis. So basically, if you're interested in fighting in the sieges, you have to be ready by that time to do so. And then day 9 is Duskmire versus Crimson Reach. So it's us versus Elderwood first, then Duskmire versus us. And then day 10 is Elderwood versus Duskmire. And then the final battle for the Snowclaps begins. The mountain calls forth the 2 strongest factions for a decisive clash. The 2 factions with the most victories in the battles so far will face off in a showdown. And then when you win, you get to control the Resurrection Pyre. So I think this is basically allowing you to resurrect in the pyre, in the snowcaps area, so that if you're fighting out in that area, you're able to continually resurrect. By the way, there is no full loot or partial loot, and part of the reason that they do this is they want people to be able to get back into the fight easily without having to farm gear. It's what the system's based around, so no matter where somebody attacks you or kills you, even in a red zone, you're not going to have any danger of losing your stuff. Then when you get to day 12 and day 13, these are the battles of ascension. So day 12 is the rank 3 versus the rank 2 person or faction. Then the day 12 victor versus the rank 1 victor. And then whoever wins the battle of ascension, they get these rewards. And then day 14 is when the cycle is going to be reborn and everything starts all over again. Now you do have these cycle challenges during the whole cycle where you can complete these different activities and get this mountain favor. And I don't remember exactly what this does. It looks like it's used to redeem the Kunlun treasure for a chance to drop the heirloom blueprints, crimsonites, and spirit stones. I think this is some of the stuff that's actually going to carry over through the different cycles, so it's something that you'll really want, because veteran players will have a little bit of an edge coming into the next cycle. However, the new players aren't going to be so far behind to where they can't catch up, so that part is nice at least. But the game itself has a really cool system when it comes to that stuff. Like, it's surprising how much is already available in the game. There's actually quite a bit of content, and it's only in the closed beta. I'm looking forward to seeing how it progresses, honestly, but there are some things, of course, that need a little bit of tweaking. You know, what game doesn't have that in closed beta? And this game's no different. But they've done a great job so far. Luckily, their servers haven't been getting impacted heavily either, which has been really nice to see. And it feels like a living, breathing MMO already. One thing I would really love to see, though, is NPCs walking around this village and actually doing things. I think that's something that I really strive to see in a lot of games. It already has the dynamic events, which I'm super happy about at least. But what I'd really love to see is more life coming out of the city itself. So we're going to go into one of these regions, the forest regions. The plateaus aren't open yet, like I mentioned. So the forest region is pretty much the only one that we can actually access at the moment. And we're going to go into one of these dungeons. Oh, wait, hold on. What is that crimsonite? Can I see that? Can be refined into flawed blood jades used to immortalize low-tier gear. Oh, okay. Actually, I wonder if immortalizing gear is how you get it to go to the next cycle. I just realized that. So they start off with these mini dungeons called Sealing Stones. When you first get in game, your tutorial and a lot of what you're going to be doing in the first couple of levels is based around these. So when you activate it, it's going to require Qi. And then when we go inside, it's going to have a mini event that we're going to need to do to get rewards. Now, these are actually, they're not procedurally generated, but it will cycle between the different maps. So like the Poison Valley one, I tend to get this one sometimes. And when you get in here, this is where I would recommend like almost immediately getting into a one of your forms, and then you're going to start using your combat abilities. So the way the combat works, and the thing I had wrong about it is it's got directional based combat, but not in the way that you think, right? By the way, there's friendly fire between mobs as well. Let me just go ahead and kill this one. So left click, that handles doing your basic left attacks, your basic directional left attacks. Right click handles doing it in the right side ones, but angling your mouse doesn't make an impact on this part, right? It's just left attacks or right attacks. So they always have the same kind of animation, or not always, they can alternate, but you know, it'll always just be the same right attack. It's not really about like, you know, up, left, down, right, nothing like that. Right, it's just right or left. So it's more simplistic in that regard, and thankfully so, because sometimes that can be harder to get into, is having the full directional. This is one of the shrines that I was talking about that you can utilize to gain Qi, or sometimes they'll have other bonuses like experience gain for 6 minutes, so they can be really useful. Highly recommend to get those wherever you can. These were the Blood Moon little interactables I was talking about. You get about 3 of these, and it'll help you generate some Qi. The combat is extremely freeform as well. So like I said, the left mouse button, this will utilize the left and right attacks here for the right mouse button. But then when you click both together, That's how you'll do a power attack. You can also do jump attacks. You can do double jumps. You can also dodge in midair to do like an air walk. Oh, hold on. Let me just go ahead and eat some food. That was an important mechanic that I was talking about, where you're going to have to do this quite often. And if I want to do like an air dodge, I do that. And you can also utilize like a heavy attack to dodge roll. Like, let's do this. The heavy attack dodge roll. You can also just like hit in air. I think these animations specifically, they might look a little better to you on the Mirage. Here, I'm gonna switch to the Mirage really and show you. With it being more offensive, it's more fast pace. And part of the reason that I think the Mirage is so popular is because you're able to more seamlessly weave in their abilities and their, their attacks. And once you kill, enough mobs in this specific event, you're able to get the shrine here to get the reward. And then we can go back out again. Oh, I forgot to get that iron. Oh, crap. Oh, well. But then there's also a block system. So the way that works is by holding down, I'll show you in a second. So by holding down right click, I'm going to block right. By holding down left click, I'm going to block left. The universal block, which is what you saw me doing earlier, is holding down left and right click at the same time. This is what you'll utilize for like blocking projectiles or anything that doesn't have a reticle, like when you're fighting somebody. So you're going to, if they're using a, this is Tearfall Grove, by the way, the first one that you'll do at level 4, the one that you'll get abilities from. But if they're attacking you from a direction, so left or right, you'll see the reticle on their side. So you'll see it go left and you have to block left. You'll see it go right, you have to block right. There is a parry system as well. So if you're able to block just before the attack goes off, then you're able to parry, and that opens them up for another attack. But oftentimes, or a lot of the time, you'll come across enemies like this where they don't exactly have a directional attack. I mean, sometimes they'll use directional attacks, but that one in specific, oh sweet, I got the experience gain, which I'll show you. He usually utilizes that ground attack, and then that one there is the special attacks that they can utilize. So if I try, I can probably try and block. Let's see if I can get it. Oop. And then that was a special attack. So you got to use the universal block when they're using that, or like this wolf using the projectiles. And then also there is friendly fire, just like you saw right there. So the mobs, they can actually attack each other. Although I've noticed in dungeons, they can't actually kill each other. By the way, that was a parry that I just did on him. I was very good with that timing, thankfully. But yeah, I've noticed that in dungeons, their attacks don't actually kill each other. Also, if you want to see something really cool, watch this. If I can get it off in time. Ah, oh, damn! I missed it. Hold on. I don't want. I want to keep doing it until I do it. Until I get it. Hold on. Come on. Ah, okay. Well, there's some times where you're able to like jump over it when you use that power attack, and that's what I was kind of going for. But I didn't want to get caught in my monk form and die right there, so I'm just gonna. I mean, I think I'm high enough level to where it wouldn't matter, but. Damn, that was going to be a really cool moment. I'm sorry I couldn't get that for you guys. But anyway, you get the idea, though. The combat has a lot of freeform. It gives you a lot of freedom. And if you're able to master it, and just like they said in the overview, and just like they say when they talk about the description of this game, the combat is easy to get into, but it's hard to master. It's got a lot of depth to it, and I completely agree. And even as a new player, even in the warrior monk status, if you know what you're doing, you could probably kill somebody. But I think it'll be much harder in the warrior monk status just because somebody could probably spam skills on you. By the way, I go for Fortitude XP because me being a tank character, most of the time I'm going to try to get that Fortitude for sure. But what I was saying was, like, even as a new character or a new player, if you know exactly what you're doing, or you're experienced in combat, yeah, that's what I was talking about. If you operate enough of those, you'll gain Qi. It also tells you a little bit about the world in the game as well. Oops. Crap. Ah, he got me. For that. Also, when the Blood Moon happens and the invasion dungeons pop up, one of the first ones that you'll see, or the one that I've been seeing so far anyway, is these dungeons, right? So when you go into the Blood Moon ones, it's going to be this one that you're going into. And what'll happen is you can wait for somebody. So what I did the last time is I noticed that somebody was already inside the dungeon, so I went ahead and caught up to them. But I waited, you know, I waited until the opportune moment. So I was actually waiting until they got past that the spike area. I was going to try to catch them in the spikes, but I decided to wait till after anyway. And they were actually in their warrior monk form and did not switch over to a primordial spirit yet. So what I did was I basically came up behind them and two-shot them because they were very vulnerable like that. So you got to be careful. I would say that being in a primordial form in dungeons is especially crucial. Even in, well, if you're in a blood moon, you should be in a primordial form the entire time, no matter what, because you never really know who's going to be able to come up behind you and take you out. And that's why I said that people will really recommend that you have two, because like you can see at these earlier levels, this one's almost done expiring, and I'm able to switch over to the Mirage seamlessly. So at least two. You don't want to I don't think you'll want to go for three, just because that's splitting your spirit binding points too thin, and you're going to need those to master the primordials, because it's going to be useful to have them fully upgraded to the point where you can actually... Oh, I can't jump over that? Okay. To where you can actually, you know, stay in them until death. And even it's going to be even more important when they incorporate these other primordial spirits. So right now we have 3 out of 7 that currently exist. On the website you can also see at least two more. So there's the Crazed Howler and the, I forgot his name, the Crimson something. But he looks awesome too, and I think a lot of people are really going to like that character. Uh-oh. I'm out of stamina. This is my only option. Oh, he got me with that. But as you can see, while fighting bosses, you're going to be using the special block, the universal block I call it, quite a bit. He's a little spammy today. But this dungeon, like I said, it's level 4. I'm level 8, so I'm over-leveled for it very clearly. But I wanted to come back in here to kind of showcase it. I'm probably not going to jump into the gear dungeon, which is like the level 5 dungeon, because that one takes forever to beat. But the plateau, we don't know exactly what's in there yet. It's probably going to be all new dungeons, all new content, and that's on top of the content that we're getting from the Great Cycle. So there's going to be a lot to do. And then when we get to the siege days, of course, we're going to have even more to do with those battles. Although it seems like there's only going to be one battle going on throughout the day as far as those days go, and like I said, it's going to be first come first serve. First 20 to get in, those are the 20 that are going to be fighting in there. I'm not sure if it's got a system where like the highest levels will have priority or not, but from what I asked the devs, they said that there's going to be a first come first serve basis of some kind. But that's everything I can really think to talk about at the moment. Of course, like I said, you can craft ability scrolls in here, and then you've also got the gear area that you can craft in. Gear, alongside crafting it, you can also upgrade it as well. It does have a durability system, so if you do end up getting or dying too much, then your gear is at risk of breaking. And then when you repair your gear, it has a max durability system, and to repair the gear, I think you either have to immortalize it or utilize something else, but there is going to be a way to repair it as well. And oh, cool, okay, so you can actually recraft the monk's staff. I wonder why you would need to recraft it. I'm not sure, but that's interesting. But anyway, folks, that's going to be the game for now. Hopefully you enjoy Havenhold. Also, I'm going to do a shameless plug. So there is a daily quest system. So you do these different events throughout the day, and then you'll get these the baseline XP given to you. And then also, I guess it's like a weekly based thing. But then there's Golden Fortune, which doing a specific dungeon will give you a golden ticket, and then you have a chance at redeeming this, I suppose. And then there's also a invite friend system. I'm going to put my invitation code in the comments below. It's just a closed beta. Pretty sure this stuff's going to get wiped anyway. I mean, of course it's going to get wiped, but either way, I'm just going to put it in there, and if anybody wants to use the invite code when you're first signing up for the game, I'd highly appreciate it. Also, there is a gift code that's in the Steam description for the game, so if you go down about halfway throughout the page, I'll take a picture of it and put it up on the screen. There is a free gift code that you can put in there. They also have community-based rewards that you can get, so joining the wish list, joining the Discord, and then the playtest survey, which I still need to do. Gold right now, they give us quite a bit. It's not going to be utilized for much right now other than trading with other players, but as far as using it, I don't think there's a whole lot of use for it just yet. There might be as the days progress though. And then the premium, there is going to be a monetization system set up in the game. So I talked to the developers about this, and they stated, hold on, that they're planning to have a free-to-play system similar to Eve Albion. Early access will be paid and include a set number of premium days and a starting amount of gold. Premium benefits will include the permission to set up trading stalls, lower taxation rates, additional cycle challenges for bonus mountain favor, which is the currency we talked about earlier, exclusive warrior monk cosmetics, and extra storage in the storehouse, but you get plenty of that, don't worry there. They're still finalizing some systems around the premium benefits, as there could be small adjustments along the way. Also, they also stated that 10 minutes before the siege starts, we'll need to confirm our participation. For now, it's a simple temporary first come, first served basis. Those who confirm first will have priority to enter the siege, but they plan to improve and refine the system when they expand the tribe system in the future. So that's pretty cool. I'm hopeful that they might end up doing a system where like the strongest will be able to get priority to enter, or maybe even the people that vote them into the siege are able to get the priority. That'd be pretty cool too. But yeah, that's going to be all for now. Oh snap, it's Kenny. What's going on, man? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you like the game if you decide to try it during these days. If you do, you still got plenty of time to catch up before the next zone opens and before the siege is especially open, but you got to make sure you're at a certain level, I would imagine, before you get into those. Have a wonderful night or day, folks. Farewell.